Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, as we see Me Too allegations going everywhere, particularly, of course, with Trump and Kavanaugh, why not, of course, hold people to their own standards, as we see here with more for Joe Biden? And this is more evidence coming out of an earlier clip from a lady named Tara Reade. Of course, it isn't clear as to whether or not these things actually happened. This in particular is the story of which she was to see Joe Biden to carry some kit to him personally, and then when they met, he got very aroused, shall we say, kissed her against a wall, put his fingers up her skirt and in her, and that is the allegation that she's putting across to him. Of course, the team flatly denies it, as they always do, as they basically have to, and now more information has come to light, as we will see, as there has been a new clip from Larry King's old show in 1993, which seems to be from Tara Reade's mother calling in to say that my daughter says that she's had an issue with a senator that she's worked with and doesn't know what to do about it, if she should be, going to the press as a whistleblower, if you will, and what really should be happening. What do you think we should do in a situation like this? And the response was quite stilted, of course, saying yes, well, of course they should be going to the press. That is the kind of thing that the press should report upon, and so on and so forth. The reason that this is important is because with anything that's this old, of course, we had with Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, that she says that, oh yes, well, this definitely happened at this place, but the testimony changed 3 times. It was at a place which may or may not have existed. The other so-called corroborating witnesses couldn't agree that there was such a place. And, of course, Kavanaugh himself kept a journal. So, hey, everybody, keep a journal, detailing where he was, and he wasn't at the apparent place that he was supposed to be at. And Christine Blasey Ford wasn't entirely sure what happened either. Whereas, of course, this lady is sticking with her allegation, keeping it the same, and has now found more evidence at the time of when it is alleged to have happened. So they say, for weeks, allegations made by Tara Reade, a former Senate staffer who says she was sexually assaulted by the then Delaware senator in the early 1990s, have been circulating in mostly conservative circles. Funny they should mention this, because of course I'm using CNN. And why is that? Well, although we know that British outlets love to report when there are allegations against a Republican or a conservative or a right-winger, there's complete radio silence. I've looked through. I've gone through the Guardian, the Metro, the BBC, the classic outlets that I would go to, and there hasn't been anything, even searching for it, you can't find it. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess you guys are just hoping, let's not report on this and it'll all blow over. But, credit where it's due, CNN have actually reported on it, and this particular article by Chris Eliza, obviously, own bias is there, but is actually trying to be more moral with his beliefs. So, hey, credit to him, well done. So he says, over the last few days, Reade's claim appears to have jumped to a new level when a call to Larry King's CNN show back in 1993 surfaced that purported to show Reade's mother asking King for advice about how to handle problems her daughter had while working for a prominent US senator. And to quote, "I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington," the woman asked King. "My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him." And from what we can see, the only senator that Tara Reade has worked for was Biden. So the other thing that does match up is that obviously Tara Reade says that it's definitely her mother's voice. Sadly, her mother has passed away a few years ago. But the details of the call, saying that it was from San Luis Obispo in California, was where her mother lived at the time, which does, of course, give more credence to the story. Police are saying that they are looking into it, their investigative procedures. Obviously, the statute of limitations has expired. It was too long ago. But the point in looking into this is to create evidence that then, if there are other more recent claims that come forward, this would be used in conjunction with that in order to give credence to newer allegations, essentially. Obviously, we know that Creepy Sleepy Joe has been at this for a while. Very uncomfortable positions that women have been put in terms of coming up behind them, hugging them, kissing them, sniffing them. Hair sniffing seems to be his thing, as, of course, sorry, that tweet video of Biden creeping up on Biden from a few months ago, which was just immaculate and perfect. If you can't remember that, then do look it up. It was something that Trump retweeted out as well. So Biden himself has not said anything publicly about these latest allegations, and his press team referred CNN back to a previous statement by Deputy Campaign Manager Kate Bedingfield. Such claims should also be diligently reviewed by an independent press. What is clear about this claim? It is untrue. This absolutely did not happen. So they don't wish to comment on it at all, even though more has come to light. But CNN is saying that they should actually look onto it, and they are actually trying to be equal. They're not actually going for double standards this time, so well done, Chris. So he says, "We are living in a world rocked and hopefully changed for the better by the Me Too movement, in which a series of very prominent men have been forced to face the consequences of behaviour that has gone from the criminal to the simply boorish. Tons of media, entertainment and politics have all been brought low once society made a pledge to believe women when they make accusations of sexual harassment or worse." Yes, the whole believe all women saga. Is that a good idea? No, it isn't. Should the burden of proof be on the person who's suggesting it happens? Then yes, it definitely should be. And the same goes here. We should all, of course, keep ourselves and other people to the same standards. That is the idea. So believing all women isn't a good idea, definitely not. If they wish to give her the benefits of the doubt, then of course they'll have to strike Biden from the campaign, in which case he'll have to be passed off to somebody else. I mean, maybe Sanders at this point, but he's already endorsed Joe, so we'll have to see how that goes. Even Tulsi's endorsed him, of course. So who knows how that's going to end up. But that is why people are starting to think, well, hey, perhaps this isn't a more coordinated attempt by the conservatives and the right-wingers, but instead it actually comes from within the Democratic Party, because they don't think Joe has a chance of beating Trump, and therefore they need somebody else. They need somebody who's stronger and a more formidable opponent if they wish to have a chance come the November election. And therefore, if they can get rid of him this way, seeing as it seems to be too late for any other method, then that is what they will be doing. But hey, conspiracy theories afoot, and you know how much I love them. So, they mention Trump's allegations as well, and saying that we shouldn't say that, oh, it's our guy, so it should be okay. In fact, by Biden's own words, this election is the one that has character on the ballot. The character of the candidates, the character of the nation is on the ballot. We need presidential leadership that's honest, trusted, truthful, and steady. If I'm given the honor of becoming your president, I promise you I'll strive to give the nation that leadership every day. Just threw in one of Biden's mannerisms there. There we go. So they mentioned some other examples as well of things of which he's done this, and he, in his response, he says, "I will also remain the strongest advocate I can be for the rights of women. I will fight to build on the work I've done in my career and to end violence against women and to ensure women are treated with the equality they deserve." He wants to bring them down. "I will continue to surround myself with trusted women advisors." That there's got to be a good selection of hair around him for the sniffing, don't you know? I mean, come on. Surely, if you're trying to go with Me Too allegations, I know it's bad to have female secretaries. That's a stereotype. It's like, yes, I want to be surrounded by women advisors. Yes, that's because of equality, don't you know? It's definitely not because I just want to smell their hair and touch them. Definitely not. Like the compliment for a woman of saying her hair smells nice is very different when it comes from a midget. But I mean, any other situation, surely people would see straight through this. But yes, who challenged me to see different perspectives than my own, and I will continue to speak out on these vitally important issues where there is much more progress to be made and crucial fights that must be waged and won. I am so looking forward to this, to find something where they say, oh, well, you see, men have this right and women don't. So, oh, cool, what is it? Can you name me one? Because I'd really like to hear just one, and then maybe we can say, cool, so as a human rights advocate, thinking that, human rights should be maintained and endorsed, then yes, I'm more than happy to do it for both sides of the spectrum, for all two genders. So, moving on, they try and say that, oh, well, he was so tactile, the people liked him, and now they don't. Oh, dear. But they say that given both his pledge to do better than Trump in every aspect of being president and accusations of improper touching that have surfaced in the past, the allegations by Reade are not the sort of thing Biden can or should be allowed to deny via a senior female campaign staffer. Well done. Reade's allegation needs to be directly addressed by the candidate himself, and Biden needs to answer several questions, including, does he remember Reade at all? Did they ever interact? Had he ever heard of this allegation from her prior to a few weeks ago? These are questions that are fair to be asked of any candidate for president, given the allegation, and that Biden, if he is doing more than talking the talk about restoring a higher standard in the White House, needs to answer. Yes, and of course he's been on television interviews since then. No mention of this. 3 running mates have been on television since then. No question of this. That it seems that the main idea is to just not mention this at all and to hope that it all goes away. But hey, and on top of that, that on the I guess the Google Play Store, could be the Apple App Store, with their podcasts, that in their back catalogue from the Larry King Show, they have actually removed it. You see that the week gap, or the day gap, if you will, and they've renumbered so as to make up for it, so it doesn't seem like it's missing, and yet that is the only one that is missing from their back catalogue. So that does seem very suspicious, but obviously quite predictable, seeing as they wish to do cover for him, for Joe Biden. It is a bit late, seeing as this has already surfaced and can be found quite readily around, but nonetheless they have tried to do that, in which case it's just going to come back to, well, hey, why are you doing this? Is this a form of election meddling? Because you know how we feel about that. In which case it's going to end up more like the Streisand effect, and that they try to hope that nobody mentions it by making a big fuss about it not happening, and therefore more people know about it. So let's spread the message far and wide, seeing as the BBC, the UK news outlets don't wish to talk about it, but if we're going to try and be equal for both sides, then it's also important to mention when it comes to Biden. Did this happen? Who knows? Does it warrant at least a question to be raised to him if they wish to be consistent? Yes, it definitely does. Do I have a vested interest? Probably not. I don't see any Democratic candidate who would beat Trump anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But hey, Biden's a shifty chap, so maybe it's about time. Unless you think, nah, he should just be retired, leave him alone. He's gone through enough, and let him just sleep it off. He'd much rather do that anyway. So, sorry, just he wants to be surrounded by women. So until next time, have a good one.